Howdy, howdy. You're doing a walkthrough of Batol. We're going to talk about the trash, the bosses, all that stuff, and how to heal it. Very first pack. Sometimes they like to pull this with the dragon, but we'll just talk about these for now. The brutes just do a little bit of tank damage. You can pretty much ignore them. They'll drop these little swirlies on the floor, that's about all. And then the Earth Caller will cast an Earth Bolt and also Mass Tremor. Mass Tremor needs to be interrupted. Earth Bolt will just hurt a lot, so ideally you also interrupt Earth Bolts, but it's not like lethal to the entire group. Mass Tremor, if it goes off, it will just deal unavoidable damage to the entire group and pretty much kill everybody at certain key levels. Here we have the Overseer, and then an Earth Caller and a Brute. So the Overseer will cast a big tank hit called Rive, and then also he will empower all of the mobs around him with a Shout ability. It's like a de-enrage. Actually don't want to de-enrage it, as far as I know, because it increases the damage that the mobs also take. So that's nice. So the main thing you're watching for with the Overseer is just these tank hits. The tank hits will hurt pretty bad. Ooh, that's a big one. Here it's all the same mobs, we just have a lot of Earth Callers and Brutes. We're going to use some crowd control to help stun them and stuff. So we knock them up, we can kick one. And we can knock back. And just kind of pre-use stuff to make sure everyone's nice and healthy. Actually incredibly clean. I'm so shocked. Oh no, they took all the dragons. Why do I have to get the farthest one? And here, when you have the dragon, you have two abilities. You have your first ability, which you only have 5 uses of, and it'll deal a large amount of damage. Ideally, you want to use it right here on this patrol when it's stacked up, or on these bigger mobs like by the boss, like this one right here is a good one. Basically, any of the packs where there's Overseers. And the other ability is just spammable, and you just spam it as you go through. And Overseer packs are the ones that you probably want to put the most attention into. And I think the whole way to the next boss is just the same copy mobs where we just have Earth Callers, Brutes, and Overseers. See those bolt, like this bolt that's hitting the monk right now? Like, the bolts definitely do not mess around, so you want to make sure people are still healthy for if they do get targeted by the bolts. As we're gonna kick those because that was 2, I think 3 bolts that were all targeted on the mage. That's a little scary. One hitting us, so I'll just press the defensive. The only other important thing here is these right here. These like dead dragons with the purple aura on them. If you walk near them, it will spawn one of those drakes from the very beginning. I don't think I actually talked about the drake at the beginning. So the drake at the beginning will do a cast. He puts a debuff on a random player and it drops pools under their feet every few seconds. So you just avoid putting the pools on top of other people and standing in them. And then he does a big knockback cast. I think it's called Umbral something. I don't know what it is, but that ability will knock everyone back. You can line of sight it to avoid the knockback, And it also does a large amount of damage, so if you line of sight it, you avoid the damage and the knockback. If you do get hit by it, it's fine, just don't get knocked off the edges or into this little like canyon in the room. That's pretty much it. In this boss, there's a safe spot that you need to go in, so there's like 4 rows basically throughout the encounter, and one of them is always safe. I like to position myself kind of in the middle every time, that way wherever it spawns I don't have to run, you know, halfway across the map to get to it. And other than that, he's going to cast Rock Spike, which puts this little circle under your feet, and then after a short delay it will knock you forward and leave this on the floor and do a large amount of damage to you. If you have some sort of stealth ability, you can use like Shadow Meld or Vanish or things like that. I think even Feign Death works. And it will just remove the buff from you, or the debuff from you entirely. Like, you just literally won't even, the circle will just go away. So that's super helpful. Same thing with Mage, you could invis it. And just be aware it always knocks you forward, so you want to make sure that you're not like knocking yourself off the edge or knocking yourself into other stuff on the ground or things like that. He does a large tank hit here, which is the Skull Splitter. It just puts like a stacking bleed on the tank, and does more damage the longer it lasts. We're basically just making sure everyone's nice and full health for each of the rock spikes, and then healing the tank like right here for the Skull Splitter, so I'm just going to use my external. We're going to move to the next safe zone. And the only other ability he does is Commanding Roar, which is just a big AoE to the whole group, but it's usually followed up right after by the rock spike, so like right here, we're all super unhealthy. We want to quickly... Oh, I don't even know if we have a V-Res, so that's not good. Might be okay. I don't know who has aggro right now, though. That's the problem. Rewind. Looks like Tank's alive. Looks like we are recovering. Looks like Tank died again. I didn't have my external, so I couldn't really do anything for him. Guess I could have maybe rescued him. Oh. Uh-oh. Can I live this? I think I health pot. And... after the rock spike hits me, I can run away. Oh, he aggroed somebody else. That's not good. Come on, little priest, live. Cleanse the bleed off of him. We're healing the priest. We're actually killing this. This is so good. Come on, mage. You got this. External the mage. Easy peasy. Okay, yeah, watch the tank during that. Don't know if there was much I could have done. I think he died from full HP. Besides rescuing him, I would have put a little absorb on him that maybe could have saved him. Next mobs, we got these Molten Giant packs. So there are Beguilers. They do they do 2 casts, I believe. They do Shadow Flame, something on people, and that just does like a large chunk of damage if it goes off. It's just on random players. And then they also do Sear Mind. That's technically the more important cast, because it happens every 20 seconds, and it will just stun. It like stun locks one player until it gets interrupted. And then the other important mob in here is the Molten Giants. They do 2 things. They do the big Molten Stomp thing that does group-wide damage right here, the Molten Wake. And then they also do like a tank slam. I don't remember exactly what it's called. I think it's Molten Fist. We'll just do a really heavy tank hit. So it's basically heal the group up to full HP after the stomp, and then make sure the tank's nice and healthy for the Molten Smash. Molten Fist. So there's the Molten Wake. We heal the group up to full HP. Accidentally just cancel my ability. Oh, Lava Fist, that's what it is. So you can see there the tank almost just got one shot. So I was a little bit too late because I canceled my previous cast. We're just kicking Beguilers and making sure that they're not casting. And we have another Molten Wake. So we heal the group up real quick. Tank gets hit by the Lava Fist. Gonna save my fire breath. Oh. One more cast still went off. Kind of a waste of Emerald Communion, but I'm just gonna use it to top everybody up. This pack has Flame Renders. They just put a stacking debuff on the tank. Just does basically like a bleed effect. So you just want to heal through that. They'll just basically do high tank damage, and then they put these frontals on the ground that you'll want to avoid. Alright, and then I think we're going to do the boss next. You can kind of do the boss whenever in this room, as long as you have enough open space. I'm going to do a few things. So the first thing is right here on my bigwigs bars. You can see Forge Axe. Whenever he forges a weapon, he's going to do high damage to the entire group. So it's going to be something that you want to be aware of. So like right here, the entire Forge cast just does heavy, unavoidable group-wide damage. Then he's going to do a Fiery Cleave. You want to aim, it aims at a random player. He'll just target a random player with it. So like there, if he targeted the mage, we'd be pretty screwed, because it leaves this huge lava puddle on the floor in the direction it went. And now we're doing another Forge weapon. So we keep the group nice and topped up. And different weapons do different things. So right now he's using, he did Forged Swords. So he does this Molten Flurry on the tank. It just does a large amount of damage to the tank during the entire cast. And now he's going to Forge Mace. And I just canceled my cast again. Why do I keep doing this? Now he has Forge Mace, and what this does is he's going to turn all big and angry, and he's going to follow the tank really, really slow, so the tank just can't get meleeed by him, because his melees do, like, infinite damage. And he leaves these lava puddles on the floor as he walks. Now he's Forging Axe again. The Forge Axe is the Fiery Cleave, so this is going to be the frontal. Just rotates between these three weapons. He's going to Forge Swords. We're going to heal. And then the new thing, while he's forging, he puts these debuffs out on players. You'll see it on... We'll see it on people in just a second. May not happen. It happens during the next forge. I think it depends on the timing. It's this... it's not even showing up. There it is. So the monk has the debuff right now. You're not going to be able to really see it actually happen. Like I have one. When it times out, you basically drop a puddle under your feet that grows. So, and you also take dot damage the entire time you have it on you. So you just want to heal the group during that, especially when it overlaps with any of the forging of weapons and stuff, because your group will be taking more damage. So, heal through the forges, and then make sure that you know what each weapon does, because the main one is the swords that do tank damage. That's going to be the one you're going to want to be like aware of, because you're going to want to heal the tank. See, like that was a stomp plus the Beguiler casting on the mage, and he just dies instantly. Like there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, there is stuff you can do about it. I shouldn't say that, because like I could have just seen that he was getting casted on and used my kick or something, or stopped with like a knockback. The best time to interrupt those is while you have this Molten debuff, or right after the stomp goes through. Because if any of the casts overlap with the stomp, you're going to be in big trouble. Now we have some other mobs. We have the Warlocks are going to put a... Let me make sure I get all this right. So the Flame Renders are going to hit the tanks and do tank frontals. We have the Warlocks put these curses on people. If you can dispel curse, you really want to get rid of them. They hurt really bad. Like a 15-second dot, and I think a heal absorb on the person. And we have the Beguilers in this pack, which we already talked about. So it's right here. It's this like heal absorb effect, and it also does damage over time. So like right now, the beast is taking damage over time and needs to get healed through this heal absorb that's literally bigger than his HP bar. So it's pretty rough. Next, we have this Lava Bender, Twilight Lava Bender. They're not going to do too much. They're going to do these random frontals just aimed at random players. And then they're going to do Dark Eruption, which does just unavoidable group-wide damage. And lastly, the most important thing, when they hit 50% health, they're going to cast Ascension. Gonna do big AoE damage around them, and then they're gonna pulse for damage until they die after they ascend. And they're still gonna do all their same abilities. So they still do the frontals, they still do the dark eruption. So like the dark eruptions now are extremely deadly because you're getting hit by this pulsing damage from them, and then also on top of that, taking damage from the eruption itself. Oh, he got meleeed. I was like really confused what just happened. And I think the only guys we didn't talk about here are the enforcers, which with every melee attack they do increased damage and get like an enrage effect that you can remove it with like a soothe or anything like that. Oh, that's not good. So you either de-enrage it, or the tank can kite away and you can use crowd control and stuff on them. And their enrage effect will fall off because it falls off just after a couple seconds. Looks like we're gonna try to keep this alive. Fire breath on all of them. Oh no, not the seer mine from the corner. I almost LOS'd it. We might be okay. No, we are not. Got a flame bolt also got me. This is really unfortunate positioning. Alright, it's not a wipe until the pack resets, so we didn't wipe. And now we're dealing with a lot of the same mobs. So we have the Warlocks and the Lava Bender. This is a really deadly pull, actually, if you don't have enough Curse Dispels, because you're getting the Curse Dispel debuff and all of the damage that the Lava Bender does, because the Lava Benders just in general do a lot of damage. So we're gonna do the best we can. Put some Echoes out. And the Lava Bender is gonna ascend. Gonna use Emerald Communion. Yeah, basically just when the Lava Benders hit 50% health, just be ready to expend some healing cooldowns. And here we have another Lava Bender with a Warlock and 3 Beguilers. So it's going to be a lot of targeted casts and stuff like that. Interrupted. There we go, we're okay. Not ascended yet, so you can tell that like the pack isn't that deadly yet. Now we have Ascension coming out, so this is where we need to start doing healing, because as soon as targeted casts go out plus this, it starts hurting really bad. Apply some Echoes. And then hopefully we can do some good healing here. That looks like it was a targeted cast that just killed him. Double check. Shadow Lava Blast. Yeah, that's just the targeted cast, I think. Or it's the frontal. I don't actually know. Pack just has a number of Warlocks in it, 3 Warlocks, so it's a lot of the curse debuffs going out. You're just going to want to be ready to do a lot of AoE healing for when those do go out, because you can't interrupt them. Like here, we're just going to spam healing into all 3 of these players and like dispel myself. Rescue just to help with a little heal absorb, or a little absorb afterwards. So the debuff does time out, but that's kind of the annoying part, is it times out by the time that they would normally die to the ticking damage from it in hierarchies, so it's really frustrating to deal with. Just gonna health bot mine off. Got 2 Beguilers and 2 Flame Renders, so there's gonna be frontals, and there's gonna be a lot of targeted casts going out. Other than that, there shouldn't be too much damage, besides just, you know, it's technically all avoidable damage. We are going to want to be careful of the frontals because they will just one-shot you. Help kick. And knock up. It's a frontal. And then now for the worst pack. This is the double Lava Bender pack. Basically, the idea is you want to just focus one of them and not fight. You have to fight both of them, but you want to ideally just focus one down and kill it, because if they're both at 50% HP, there's like no way that you're gonna survive through it unless you literally have like Spirit Link Totem and a bunch of defensives to roll through. Because they're both using the eruptions, so it's just absolutely brutal how much damage they're doing. But here we're just popping some healing cooldowns, and then we got the first one killed. Now we get the second one to 50% HP, and now it's a lot easier. The problem is if you get them both to 50% HP at all, you're just gonna die to the amount of ticking damage that's happening to the group. So you just have to be extra careful of that. Here we have the eruption with the overlapping ticking damage, but we did kill him in time, so it didn't happen. Now this boss, first guy doesn't really do anything. He's gonna spawn these adds. They're gonna fixate a random player. You just don't let the ad touch the fixated player. So if you're fixated, make sure the ad does not touch you. And then other than that, he'll put this curse out on people. You're gonna see it here in a second. This curse is just a heal absorb and a curse dispel, and it will slow everybody who has it. So it doesn't do any damage or anything, but everybody's slowed. So it makes it annoying because if the ad is fixating you and you're slowed, it's a lot harder to kite. Now we have the actual boss fight, which is this dragon. And the two main things is they're going to spawn 2 ads at a time instead of 1. And then there's a Twilight Buffet, which is going to be a big knockback on the entire group. And that's when you're going to want to make sure everyone's full health for. And then also you're going to want to use like defenses for it. The big thing is where you're getting knocked back. So you don't want to get knocked back into ads, like right here, this one's fixating me, so I'm going to knock it away. We all get knocked back, lots of damage. And then Batol is just always aimed at the tank. And then after every knockback, there's going to be all these tornadoes that spawn, and they just spin in circles. You can stand near them and still dodge them, okay, but I would recommend just being away from them, because with the knockbacks combined and everything, it's really dangerous. And if you like touch the tornado at all, you're just gonna die like every single time. And here we have another knockback, so I'm just gonna use Zephyr here to help with the damage, and we're just killing these ads. As long as it's not fixated on you, like I can walk next to it and it won't do anything. It's just if you're the fixated player and it touches you, it blows up and will kill the entire group. The idea is with each knockback, instead of ads, you're kind of moving the boss to different corners of the room. That way you don't have to worry about dealing with the tornadoes and stuff. The only thing you need to be concerned with is getting knocked back to the tornadoes or the ads. So just watch where the positioning is. So here's the knockback again. I have an ad right there. There's also tornadoes behind me. I'm an evoker, so I can just kind of flap back down. Then I'm watching out for my ad. It's getting a little too close. So I'm going to move this way, do some more healing. More echoes. Ad spawning next to us. So don't be too close to where the ads spawn, because they can just immediately fixate you and then blow up. So you could just be sitting there like hitting the ad and it hasn't fixated anyone yet, and then all of a sudden it fixates you and just instantly explodes because you're in melee range of it. Here we have more of all the same kind of mobs combined together. Just watching for frontals, watching the tank's health and dispelling curses or healing through them, and interrupting the beguilers. Very close timer. Hopefully I time some of these keys where I do dungeon walkthroughs. So next we have this destroyer. Looks like he's doing kind of a weird pull here, but that's okay. Did the tank just DC? It looks like he's just walking in place. That's not good. That is definitely not good. Have any more CC? We knocked him up. Oh no, our little monk friend. I'm gonna try to rescue him. The shield is barely gonna do anything. Age is getting hit too. We're living. We are definitely living. What a mess. As I'm like, oh, this timer's gonna be pretty tight, then the tank DCs. We can still type and everything too. I've been having that bug actually a few times. Oh, can we skip this dragon? That's actually really cool. I did not know about that. So this is the dragon that's at the beginning of the dungeon, and the ones that if you step near these, you know, these dead ones, they spawn. And it just does the little pool under someone's feet with the debuff, and it does a little bit of taking damage, and then it does a big knockback to everybody that you can either line of sight or just press a defensive for and don't get knocked off the edge. Looks like our tank is coming back. At least since we're not fighting this dragon, we still do have a chance. It's going to be pretty tight though, but that's okay. As long as we get to talk about the whole dungeon without it being too much of a mess, then I don't really mind. Okay, so these packs, when these little guys die, they increase all your shadow damage that you take, so you want to be careful about killing them too fast. You do want to kill them though, however, so I think most groups are just kind of ignoring them. The big thing is these corruptors in these packs. They're going to target a player, like here the mage is targeted, and they're just going to do this long channel of corrupt, and it just does a lot of single target unavoidable damage to that player. I guess the way that you can avoid it is if you don't have defensives to use, or if you just want to skip the damage entirely, you can use like Invis or Feign Death and stuff like that, like I talked about earlier with some of the abilities, and it will just make the ability stop channeling on you, and then it won't even target a new player, it'll just interrupt the ability essentially. Here it's on the priest, and if they don't press a defensive like there, the priest didn't press a defensive until super late, it's gonna hurt bad. So like you, as a healer, you want to really be on top of just pumping healing into that one person, and also using external on them if they don't press something for themselves. And the other thing you can see there, if you kind of rewind it and go watch back this corruptor, it likes to target the tank first. Like if you have something that tells you who's getting targeted by stuff, it'll say that it's targeting the tank, but then switch at the last second to the player that it's actually targeting. So the only real way to tell is which way it's facing, or if it decides to not, you know, bug out like that. So it's kind of annoying, but something to keep in mind is like you'll see it targeting, like there, it targeted just fine, it targeted the monk. The problem with this pack is there's two corruptors, so like here the priest is going to get targeted by it, not press anything, so I should have rescued. I was barely too late to rescue. Now we just watch who they're going to target next. So there it's on the monk again. Or rewind this one. And it's on the mage now. There we go, he invised it, so there you can see it interrupted it entirely. It hasn't targeted me yet. There it's on the mage again. An external on the mage. And it's going to be on the monk, so we'll heal the monk. Yeah, you can see there it does like 3 health bars worth of damage. It's actually insane amounts of damage. Unfortunately, I'm not going to time this, but like I said, I don't mind as long as we got to talk through the whole dungeon and it didn't take, you know, an hour to do it. Okay, so this boss, he's going to use Void Surge right here at the start of the fight, and he also does this periodically throughout the fight. It's just going to do a large amount of group damage, so that's where you're going to want to be using healing cooldowns and such. Gonna spawn all these tentacles in the room. If you touch them, you get stunned, and then you'll probably die. You can use things like AMS or Freedom to kind of walk through them and clear some of them. And then the next thing he's gonna do, he's gonna pick like a specific spot in the room, and the whole room's gonna get enshrouded in this darkness stuff until you're just in this little tiny space. 2 players get a little debuff. Basically, they just don't want to be stacked together. It's okay if other players are in the circles, as long as they don't also have a circle. And then other than that, you just live through it. That's the other spot where you probably use, you know, healing cooldowns or defensives and stuff like that. And then he's gonna clear all the stuff on the floor and then spawn these little ads. Just help kill them. He does another Void Surge. Heal the group through it. And now it just, the fight basically repeats from here. So now it's gonna go back to the shadow kind of enveloping the room, and we gotta pick a, you know, it's gonna pick a specific spot. The easiest way to tell is kind of which area is the most clear as it's closing in. And then you just kind of walk in that direction. And now you'll be good. And now we're going to heal through this. I'm going to press a defensive because I am targeted by it. And then now we get the ads that are spawning. Whenever the ads spawn, he's going to do a crush on the tank, so you can use externals on the tank if you need to. Here the monk just got trapped by one of the tentacles. Now we have a Void Surge coming up, so I'm going to do some healing. We want to watch for new tentacles to spawn, because every Void Surge, more tentacles spawn. So do you see how many are in the room now? It's like absolutely insane. So now when we have to move for this next mechanic, the like clear zone, it's a lot more dangerous. I think this one's going to be somewhere in the middle of the room, it looks like. Going to be right about here. I always try to find like an edge to stand on if I'm at range. So like here, maybe I'll go stand in here. That way I just don't risk overlapping my circle with anyone else. Gonna repeat. He's gonna spawn ads. He's gonna crush the tank. Gonna put some healing into the tank. And the ads are gonna come in, and then he's gonna do a Void Surge shortly after. Gonna apply echoes to some people. And for this one, I will just use Emerald Communion with Lifebind. Oh, and there, he did the Void Surge, and the tentacle spawned on top of me there. It will let go of you after a short amount of time, but you just take a lot of damage while you're sitting in it. Now we're going to move this way. Make sure we're being very careful about how we walk through all the tentacles. Use our external on the tank, and the boss is dead. Cool. So that's it for Grim Batol. Unfortunately, we did not get to time it, but that's okay. 14 deaths, and we still like almost made it, so that's definitely not the worst thing ever. In terms of like how much, you know, time we were pushing through, it was actually pretty good. It was just the amount of deaths that we had that definitely held us over. And the DC, but I don't know if the DC was a minute and a half worth of time. Okay, thanks for watching. See you later.